Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, and today we are going to continue with the second chapter of History of Class 9, that is the topic of socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. And today's topic is 1.2, Industrial Society and Social Change. These political trends were signs of a new time, as we came to know in the last video how the liberals and the conservatives and the radicals were grouped. So there was a time of profound social and economic change, and it was a new age. It was a time when the new cities with new ideas, with new opinions came up, and new industrialized regions developed all over Europe, and railways expanded and the industrial revolution occurred. So industrial revolution was a new revolution of machines, of technology. Industrialization brought men, women and children to factories. So factories were the places where the things could be produced in huge quantities, and work hours were often too long, and wages, the money that they used to get from working there, were very poor. Unemployment was very common at the time, particularly during the times of the low demand of for the industrial goods, and also housing and sanitation. If they would find work, but where they would stay. So housing and sanitation to attend the basic needs, the needs of the nature. These were the problems since towns were growing very rapidly. So towns were growing up, but there was no such system of proper sanitation and housing. The liberals and the radicals searched for the solution to these issues. So they had some sympathetic ideas towards the poor people. And this is one famous picture, the London Poor in the mid 19th century, drawn by Henry Mayhew. And it is depicting the life of the poor people when they lived in London and how they had to struggle for their livelihood. Let us go and see what happened next. Almost all the industries were the property of individuals. That means they were all owned by single individuals or a group of businessmen. Now, liberals and radicals themselves were often property owners and employers. So they themselves had huge property, and they were also the owners or the employers of other workers, having made their wealth made through trade and industrial ventures. So how did they make this money? They made this wealth, this property, by doing business, trade or industrial new ventures. New ventures means new business propositions, and they felt that such effort should be encouraged. Why? Then the business would improve, then the economy of the country also would improve, and many would get employment also. That its benefits would be achieved if the workforce in the economy was healthy and the citizens were educated. So if the citizens were educated and they would be able to work more, then the economy of the country would become very healthy and the country would progress as a developed country. Opposed to the privileges or the benefits the old or aristocracy had by birth, they firmly believed in the value of individual effort, labor and enterprise. So here they were opposed to the privileges that the old aristocracy had. So they said that it is not that a person is born in a rich family then he will be given all the facilities, but they believed that individual effort, hard work, labor, enterprise, that is business proposition for profit, if these were done, then definitely the freedom of the individuals was ensured. And if the poor would do hard labor and those with capital could operate without restraint, without any kind of restriction, they believed that societies would develop in a better way. So many working men and women who wanted changes in the world rallied. They went for these processions and they went near these liberals and radical groups for help and their parties in the early 19th century, hoping that these working men and women would get a change in the world and they would get proper respect in the society also. Now, some nationalists, what we come to know, some nationalists, here we talk about the liberals and the radicals also. So Who are these liberals and radicals? We already have come to know in the last video. So some nationalists like liberals and radicals wanted revolutions to put an end to the kind of the governments established in Europe in 1815. So as you know, the conservative orthodox government, the monarchical form of the government had come in 1815 after the fall of Napoleon Bonaparte. And after that, what happened? After that, many liberals and radicals were not happy and they wanted to put an end to this kind of governments. In France, Italy, Germany and Russia, they became revolutionaries and worked to overthrow the existing monarchs. All the kings who were ruling at the time, they wanted to overthrow and remove them from power. Nationalists talked of revolutions. They wanted that the people should come out on the streets and should start movement. And these revolutions would create nations also where all the citizens would have equal rights. And after 1815, we come to know about Mazzini. So Giuseppe Mazzini, an Italian nationalist, and he was a great freedom fighter, revolutionary. He conspired with the others to achieve this equality and freedom in Italy. And nationalists elsewhere, like even including India also, as we come to know about Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Derozio and so many other people who were influenced by these ideas. So they also read his writings and got a lot of inspiration from Mazzini. Now we are going to see the next topic, 1.3, that is the coming of socialism, the idea of socialism, how it came to Europe. Now, Europe was a continent mostly predominantly ruled by the monarchs. So let's see how the people accepted the idea of socialism. Perhaps one of the most far-reaching visions of the people of how the society should be structured was socialism. By the mid-19th century in Europe, socialism was a well-known body of ideas that attracted the widespread attention of the people. So how did socialism gain importance among the people, and what was the importance of socialism? Let us read. First of all, what is socialism? This idea of socialism, you can understand here like the socialists, the people who followed socialism were against private property. And they said that people should not, individuals and the businessmen or the rich people should not hold property privately, and saw that it is the root cause of all the social evils and social ills of the time. Why? Because individuals owned the property that gave employment, but the proprietors were concerned only with personal gain and not with the welfare of those who made the property productive. So as you know, the businessman or the employers or the private individuals have only one thing in their mind, that is personal gain or profit. But what is the condition of the workers? Did they get all the basic facilities or not? Are they exploited or not? That thing is not given importance by the employers. So they only are the real wealth as they make the property more productive. So if a society as a whole, rather than single individuals, control the property, then everybody would be equal and more attention would be paid to collective or the group's social interests. So collective social interest here, it means all the people would be taken as a group together and their problems would be solved together. Socialists wanted this change and campaigned for it. They wanted this change and they wanted that it should spread everywhere. So the question comes now, how could a society without property operate? What would be the basis of the socialist society? So socialists had different visions of the future. They already had painted a beautiful dream about the future. Some of the socialists believed in the idea of the cooperatives. Now, what do you mean by the word cooperatives? Let's see here. So, the cooperatives word comes from cooperation, like when we mutually help each other. So, Robert Owen was a English manufacturer, a leading English manufacturer. He was born in 1771 and died in the year 1858. He sought or decided to build a cooperative community or society called New Harmony in Indiana, in the state of Indiana in USA, that is United States of America. And other socialists felt that these cooperatives could not be built on a wide scale, only through individual initiative. So only one person cannot start a cooperative. For that you need people to come together, and they demanded that governments should encourage cooperatives. Government should say that people should come into group and become a part of the cooperatives. In France also, for instance, Louis Blanc, and he was born in the year 1813 and died in the year 1882. So he also wanted the government to encourage cooperatives and replace the capitalist enterprises. So all the capitalist enterprises who were profit based companies or factories, these were only concerned about the wealth or the profit of the individuals. So these were not looking after the needs of the people. So they wanted the cooperatives should be the associations of the people who produced goods, like the workers. These workers who produced goods together and divided the profits according to the work done by the members. So this was the main idea behind cooperatives and socialism. Again, we come to know about Karl Marx. Everybody knows his name. Karl Marx was born in the year 1818 and died in the year 1883. And Friedrich Engels, so he was born in 1820 and died in the year 1895, added other ideas to this body of arguments here. Marx argued that industrial society was capitalist itself, because capitalists owned the individual invested in the factories, and the profit of the capitalist was produced by the workers. The conditions of the workers could not improve as long as this profit was accumulated or collected by the private capitalist. So Karl Marx has rightly said, he has written a famous book also, I think you know the name, Das Kapital. So it is in German language. Das Kapital here means the capital. That is about the industrialist, about the businessman, as the people are not concerned about the condition of the workers. And mainly, if you see carefully, the workers are the main wealth. They are only producing, and then the capitalist is earning. So workers had to overthrow this idea of capitalism and the rule of the private property. And Karl Marx believed that to free themselves from capitalist exploitation or exploitation from the rich industrialist, workers had to construct a very dynamic, changing socialist society where all the property was socially controlled. So they must have such kind of factories where the people are the owners of that, and they are the members of that. They are the people who are controlling that. This would become a communist society where all the people would be together. And Karl Marx was convinced that the workers would triumph or be victorious in their conflict with the capitalist, and the communist society, they would be the natural society of the future. So this is what we come to know about the view of Karl Marx. Next topic is 1.4, that is support for socialism. By the 1870s, socialist ideas spread all over Europe. All the continent came under the socialist ideas, and to coordinate their efforts and these ideas, socialists formed an international body, and the name of the body or that organization was the Second International. Workers in England and Germany began forming associations to live for better living conditions and working conditions where they would get security and little bit of better lifestyle. And they set up funds to collect money and to help the members in the times of distress and trouble, and demanded there must be a reduction of the working hours, and the right to vote also must be given to these workers. So earlier they used to work for 10 hours like that, but now they demanded less hours for working. In Germany, these associations work closely with the Social Democratic Party, that is SPD, and helped it win the parliamentary seats also. And by 1905, we come to know that trade unionists formed a Labour Party in Britain, and a Socialist Party was also made in France. So here we come to know how it spread in all the different countries, the ideas of socialism. However, till 1914, when the First World War began, socialists never succeeded in forming a government in Europe. They tried so much, they tried to spread the ideas, but they could not make it successful to form a government. So represented by the strong figures in the parliamentary politics, these ideas did shape the legislation also, but the governments continued to be run by conservatives or liberals or radicals only. So here we come to know the Labour Party was formed, and Socialist Party was also formed in Britain and France, but the socialists never could get the upper strength or the upper part of the government, and that is why they still had to depend on the conservatives, radicals, and the liberals who continued to rule over them. So that was the end of this topic. At the end of this page, you will find there is a painting of the Paris Commune of 1871, and it is from Illustrated London News. It's a painting and it portrays a scene from the popular uprising in Paris between March and May 1871. Thank you.